I'm Krystle. I've loved dolls my whole life. I collect everything from porcelain to cloth, American Girl, neonates, and real care dolls. But my favorite is to collect and make reborn dolls. There's Chloe, Grace, Jeremy, Maya, Yuki, Savannah, Zoe, Haley, Landon, Maisie, and Joshua. It isn't easy keeping up with my collection, but it sure is a lot of fun. Hi guys, I'm here to do Twin Tuesday. I know Nicole and I did not do Twin Tuesday the past 2 weeks, and that's because Nicole lives in Texas and they had a really bad winter storm and just really bad weather, and they were without power for almost a week or so. And anyways, so we had to skip a couple of weeks until everything was back to normal on Nicole's end and she's back home. So I'm going to be getting Noah changed today, and he is going to be getting out of his Valentine's Day pajamas. This is, I think I had showed you guys this. He got it for Christmas. This cute sleeper that has arrows, hearts, envelopes with a heart coming out of it, and it says love, and it's gray. This is what he wore for Valentine's Day. It's super cute, really cozy. It fits him really nice. And I'm going to be changing him into this romper that I bought specifically for him. So like when I knew he was coming, this was like last year. I can't believe I'm coming up on a year. Like I think his birthday's in April, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be a year old in April. I can't believe that. And I still have yet to change his body. I really need to like get my butt in gear and get that going. But yeah, so this was one of the outfits. Like if you remember going back a year, I got like this big box of love mail from Nicole, and it had also like it had gifts from her, but it also had items that I purchased and had shipped to her, things that I bought from the US, and I figured to save on shipping I would just send everything to her and then send it in one box. And so this was one of them, and this is a Just One You by Carter's, and it's a little cold here today for this outfit, but we're slowly running out of matching outfits, so this was like one of the few left that we have. So he'll probably only wear it today for this video, and then I'll probably put him back into something warm because it was actually very warm on the weekend. This past weekend it was very mild. It was like, oh, I think it got up to 5 or 6 or 7 on one of the days, and it was very mild out. And then last night it just dropped. Yesterday we had snow. Yeah, for the first day of March we had snow, and then it was sunny, and then it was snowing again, and overnight it dropped down to -20. So winter's not quite over yet, although looking forward, I think tomorrow's supposed to go up to 7, and the next couple of days are going to be milder again. But definitely not summer weather for a romper like this. But we're gonna do that. So don't forget to go visit My Reality with Nicole. I will link to her channel or her Twin Tuesday video in the description of this video, and you can go on over and also subscribe to her channel. So basically, as you probably noticed, I barely posted any videos for the month of February. I have been having, I'm not going to get into too many details because it's just a lot of personal stuff going on. But I've just been basically having a very hard time emotionally, basically since the first week of January. I have just not emotionally or mentally been in a good place, and that's all I'm going to say about it. I've really been struggling, and it's just, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's the cause of it. One of the main things I'm not really going to get into in this video, but then of course on top of it, you had the whole situation with the cats upstairs, as well as Riley's stuff, as well as my grandma's health issues and things. And so it's just been, this year has not started off to a good start for me. Speaking of my grandma, she is finally out of the hospital. She did not have COVID. She just had pneumonia, which they managed to get cleared up pretty quickly, actually, with some antibiotics. But as I probably mentioned in the last, I guess it was the last Twin Tuesday video, maybe I talked about it, where when talking to her on the phone, she was very, very out of it, and it really upset me. We just, personally, my family and I feel that COVID has greatly impacted her cognitive functions. And yeah. So anyways, she eventually got to a point, she was basically in the hospital for 6 weeks. And she eventually got to a point where she no longer needed the oxygen, which was good because we thought that she was going to get to that point where they were going to have her on oxygen 24/7, because she does have COPD. But thankfully, she no longer needs the oxygen. She still has her CPAP at night. And they did send her from the hospital to a rehab center for some physio to try and get, because they said that, like, when she got up to walk, she was very weak. And my first thought on why that would be is, I said to my mom, I said, she probably has had her muscles atrophy, because for this whole past year, with the stupid pandemic and with them constantly going into quarantine lockdowns in her senior building, she's probably spent an entire year just sitting and not up and walking enough. And so her muscles have probably atrophied, meaning they've weakened, and she's probably lost muscle mass from not exercising, you know, like not getting any exercise, like, because they're constantly having these outbreaks of COVID in her building, and then they have to shut down for 14 days, and no one can leave their room for 14 days. They can't even go downstairs to eat. Their meals are delivered to them. So I'm like, it only stands to reason that if she's just been sitting in this little room for a year, that it's going to have physical impacts, as well as obviously it's impacting her cognitive functions. So anyways, she was only at the rehab place a little over a week, and they said that they felt that she was up and about walking fine, so they felt she was okay to go home. But we personally think that they decided to send her home because one of the things that was happening is she was wandering. So she kept leaving her room and wandering in the hospital, and they had to keep redirecting her back to her hospital room. And I think they were getting annoyed having to do that. So Friday, Alex and I picked up my mom, and we had to go to my grandma's building. And my mom was the only one allowed inside my grandma's room, because my mom and my grandma both have had the vaccine now. They've had the COVID vaccine, both doses. My grandma's building set up something with the government. They talked to someone higher up about allowing one person per resident to be considered a essential caregiver for that member of their family so that they could be vaccinated, so that they could then visit that family member. So my mom has been deemed an essential care worker for my grandma, and they both got the vaccine. So, but get this, guys, even though they both have received the vaccine, if my mom wants to visit my grandma, she still has to wear a mask. She still has to be 6 feet away from my grandma. She still is not allowed to hug or touch my grandmother. And she has to wear a face shield on top of the mask. Please tell me how that makes any sense. What is the freaking point of getting a vaccine if you can't go back to normal afterwards? This is what I don't understand. I thought the whole point of the vaccine was so that we can be safe from catching COVID, or at the very least, if we catch COVID, the symptoms will be less and we'll recover and all is good and we can go back to living life as usual. So I'm a little irritated with that. But anyways, so she was at the hospital, and we found out that when they took her to the hospital, they did not bring her purse, her wallet. They didn't bring any clothes for her to wear home. They didn't bring shoes for her to wear home. They didn't bring her coat for her to wear home. She literally went to the hospital with nothing. And we are pissed that she went with nothing. It just seems that the care, ever since the pandemic, the care in her building has gone down the toilet. So we had to drive my mom to her building so my mom could go up to her room and get her shoes, get her some clothes, get her her coat, you know, things that she needs to get home. So then from there we drove to the rehab hospital to pick up my grandma. And I partly expected to see her confused, but I also didn't particularly realize how confused she would be. When we picked her up, she kept saying to the nurse, "I'll call you when I get there." And she came into the front seat of the car and she looked at Alex and said, "Oh, thank you for picking me up." And then she turned to me. I was sitting in the back seat. She turned to me, looked at me and said, "And thank you as well, whoever you are." Like she didn't know who I was. That was hard. And then the other thing was she thought that she was going to visit her sisters in Winnipeg. My grandmother was born and raised in Winnipeg, and she is one of 14 kids. Now, at this point, most of her brothers and sisters have passed. I think she only has 2 or 3 sisters left that are alive, and they still live in Winnipeg. And for whatever reason, she thought we were going to Winnipeg to see her sisters. She was like, "Oh, okay, did you tell Anita what time we're going to be there? Did you tell," like, I was like, she thinks she's going to Winnipeg. Like, my mom and I were in the back seat looking at each other like, what do we say? What do we do? And so anyways, we decided this is the first time we get to see her in person in a whole year. So we're not taking her straight home. We decided to take her to, well, she had just finished having lunch in the hospital, but we decided to take her to Wendy's to get a Frosty because my mom told me she loves Frosties, and it's been like forever since she's been able to have one. And we were all hungry at that point for lunch. So we decided to go to Wendy's drive-thru, grab something to eat, got her a Frosty, and we parked in the parking lot and ate that in the car. She really enjoyed that. But the whole time she just kept looking at the buildings in the area or the houses as we drove by them. And she's like, "Oh, I've never seen that place before," or "Oh, I've never been here before." Like, she was just so confused. And she kept talking about going to Winnipeg. And eventually we just told her, "No, you're not going to Winnipeg. You're going home to your apartment." And then she's like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So we took her home, and after we finished our Wendy's, And so it was nice to be able to like talk with her a bit. At one point when she was in the front seat of the car when we were driving, she was like, "Is Debbie in the car?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she's sitting right behind you." And then a few minutes later, she was asking if I was in the car. And I'm like, "I'm right here." And so, and then at another point, she's like, "Is everyone here in the car?" So she just kept forgetting that we were there. Like, it was, oh man. And then at another point, she turned around and saw me and was like, "Oh, I didn't realize you were there. How come you haven't said anything to me?" And yet, like, I had been talking to her. And so it was just really upsetting to see her like that. But it was at least we got to see her. Then when we pulled up at her building, we decided to go in the back parking lot, in the parking spot furthest away from the door, because my uncles wanted us to take a picture of her so that they could see her. And then I also wanted to give her a hug. My mom wanted to give her a hug. Because I was like, you know what? Like, screw this. She's vaccinated. And I'm not letting anyone tell me that I can't hug my grandmother, because the state that she's in, guys, like, I have no idea how long my grandmother has left to live, okay? Like, her mental state is getting worse by the day, and I'm like, this could be the last time that I have to see my grandma. So I am going to hug her goodbye and tell her I love her, because if I didn't do that and something happened to her and she passed away, I would regret that for the rest of my life, that I didn't do that. And my mom was able to actually take her up to her room and get her settled in. My mom actually spent the rest of the day with her. She was there till about 7 at night, and she definitely like gave her a hug and everything like that, because she's like, screw this. Like, this is getting to be ridiculous now. And even my dad had told my mom and I, like, do it. Hug her, because he's like, when he lost his mom, he's like, I didn't care what anyone said. I gave my mom a hug and a kiss when I knew she was dying, because he's like, I would not have been able to live with that if I hadn't have done that. And I feel the same way. I'm like, you know what? Virus aside, I don't give a shit anymore, because really and truly, when they get to that age, their days are numbered anyway. Okay, so this may sound insensitive, but honestly, like, I'm seeing the decline in my grandmother, and I don't know how much time she has left. And she has been vaccinated. So I'm like, this is it. I am going to hug my grandma. I don't give a crap what people say, because guess what, guys? Life is short. And I would never be able to live with myself if I didn't hug her and she like dies next week and I never got to say goodbye to her. So I don't care what people say. That's just me. And I'm glad that I did it. I have no regrets. So that was that. Quick update on the cats before I go. The cats upstairs are okay. The female cat hasn't been spayed yet. She's already gone into heat another time, and I think she may be in heat again, because I heard her this morning. But our neighbor's friend did arrive a week ago, a little over a week ago. And so he is doing his 14-day quarantine at the house here. So he is currently taking care of the cats. So it's nice that they actually have someone there every day for 14 days. But then after that, he's leaving. And it sounds like our neighbor still won't be back for like another 2 to 3 weeks. Ridiculous. So I guess when the neighbor's friend leaves, we're going to have to go back to feeding them every day. So that's what's going on with that. And sorry I've ranted and raved long enough. That's kind of what's going on with that. So I've just been under a lot of stress between my grandma, between Riley's stuff. There's a possibility he may have had a mini stroke. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, but we don't really know. Our vet just said from what I described, it sounded like a mini stroke, but she goes, it could also just be confusion from the blindness, or it could be confusion caused by toxins in the brain because the kidneys aren't working right. Like there's so many different possibilities of what it could be. But he was doing this thing where he was walking in circles, and he did it a few times on the Saturday and a few times on the Sunday, and then he did it like once on the Monday, and then since Monday he's been fine. There is a possibility it could have been the antibiotic, so we tried to decrease the antibiotic a few days, like decrease the dose, but then now, like this morning, he was having kind of diarrhea again, so we put the dose back up. So it's kind of like, I don't know, we're giving him fluids every day now to try and flush the toxins in case that's it. And we've actually noticed an improvement in him temper-wise, and even like the confusion-wise. He hasn't been as confused since we've been doing the fluids every day, so maybe it was just the toxins. I don't know. We did decide to buy some pet stairs for him that came on Friday. And the first few nights he still meowed before using them because like he kind of needed help finding them. But last night was the first night that he did not meow at all. We were able to sleep without him waking us up every time he wanted to come on the bed. He has totally figured out how to use the steps to get up on the bed, and I'm like so happy. He just like goes over and comes right up them now. He's figured out where they are, he knows how to find them, and he knows how to get up. So that has made me very happy that he's able to do that now without meowing and waking us up. So that's what's going on. Anyways, here's Noah. Trying to get his face shown. There we go. So here's Noah in his romper. It's light blue and white striped. It has the little button up front with a little collar, and it has like navy blue. Is it navy blue or gray? Yeah, it's like a navy blue bunnies all over it, and they're short. It's like a short romper, and he's got his little toes showing. He looks super cute. So anyways, guys, that's kind of what's been going on with me. Like I said, I've just been emotionally drained, stressed over my grandma, over Riley, over the cats upstairs, as well as some other issues going on that I don't really want to get into at this point. They're private, but basically since the beginning of January, I've just been an emotional mess, and I just... honestly, I've been depressed. I've been dealing with depression, I think. And I just have, other than getting to work on the days that I work, I have been so unmotivated to do anything. Like, I might get one or two things done and then I'm like done. I just can't, like, emotionally, I don't know. I might need to see a therapist because I don't know, like I just am not in a good place right now. And I have a lot of decisions that I'm trying to make and things I'm trying to sort out and work through, and I don't know. But anyways, I'm trying. So, I got on today to make a video, and I did edit some videos that I filmed like weeks and weeks ago. I finally have started to edit those, and as you saw, I uploaded the last couple of days. So I'm trying to get back into things, but just bear with me if you don't see videos for a while. It's just, I'm just trying to get through this emotional mess that I'm in right now. So anyways, there's Noah. He's super cute. Go check out Nicole's channel, My Reality with Nicole, and see her baby. I'm assuming she'll have Sean dressed in this romper, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.